Hello and welcome to this week's episode of My CP Does Not Define Me, where we focus less on the dis and more on the ability of what we can do. Join us every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, live on www.letgoradio.net and on Facebook Live, where I always say, if you can't be good, be bad, but be good at it.
All right. Better late than never. We are here today. It is time again, everybody. It is Wednesday, 2 p.m. EST. That's Eastern Standard Time. It is your host, D to the J, with the roll away, and I am here. Oh, dear God. With my wonderful two besties, my three amigos. We are the three amigos, and yes, it is time.
You cannot see my shirt, but it actually has a sombrero on it today.
I'm telling you, we were working on a shirt idea, but we didn't get it in time for the show. But one is coming. These people are just so great, Mr. Kyle, Miss Kristina of the.
Thank you for having us,
man. Thank you all for being here. These guys have been on my show before. I've been on their show before. We are one giant happy family that is far away, and we don't like being far away. We want to be in the same room, but because of virtual ability, we can. It is called StreamYard, and that is where we are, live in one room. So, we are going to talk about something very, very awesome today, and it is achieving perfection or trying too hard to achieve perfection, as it were. And if you don't mind, since I'm the host, I'll start. So I said to myself, as I spoke to myself in third person, I had a doctor's appointment this morning at 8:30. I had my doctor's appointment. Everything went fine. I get home at 11:30. I said, I've got plenty of time. I'm going to lay down and take an hour nap. Well, my alarm decided not to go off until 1:40. So for me to jump out of bed at 1:40, jump in my chair, spin around, make sure I look decent enough to be on camera and not scare people running in the other direction, is not perfection. It is very much chaos. And I said, oh my God, it's 1:40. What am I going to do? And I'm just going, and all of a sudden, it's the end of the world as we know it. Okay, but I made it at 2:01, and we had to go on 1 minute late. But nobody's perfect, honestly. If you try to achieve perfection, you're never going to get there. I mean, it all you can do is the best you can do, and that's got to be okay and good enough. But you've got to see that. Other people can tell you, man, you're doing fine. You all right? Ain't no big deal. And you just said, no, I ain't. I was a minute late, man. I got 60 seconds of time that I can't get back. You can't beat yourself up. Lord have mercy. Let it go.
Even though we lost a minute, this is still going to be a great show. It's all about deciding what is good enough for you. For me, it's striving to be real rather than striving to be perfect. But on the flip side, I can decide what I consider perfect because it's up to me. We are in control of what we consider, good enough for us and what's perfect for us.
Now, you said you can decide what you consider perfect. Do me a favor, my one amigo. Elaborate on that statement, if you will.
Because, for me, there is no universal perfect because we could look at the same picture and think, ooh, there's a smudge. I don't like it. It's not perfect. But I could think, oh, well, that adds character, so it's perfect to me. Kristina could point out something completely different. So it's all about perspective. We can all look at something the same way and see something completely different. So for me, I have to worry about what's perfect for me, not what's perfect for Kristina or you, DJ. It's my life that I have to
Well,
live.
my sister from another mister, why don't you shed a little light on the subject we're speaking about?
Both. This is a very interesting topic because I'm often told that I'm too hard on myself, and I think for me, perfection is not perfection. I mean, I know I can't always be perfect, but I'm the type of person who's over there trying and trying to get as close as I can to the perfection. When it comes to a few different things, grades is one of them, and I'm finding that that didn't change from undergrad to now working on my master's. I still have those expectations of myself that are somewhat unrealistic because master's level courses are not as easy as undergraduate level courses. So I've kind of had to adjust my expectations on what I thought was good enough. I might not have been perfectly happy with everything or all my grades, but I kind of learned that it was okay to get some B's because I was still giving my best. And so it wasn't perfect, but it was good enough for me. And I learned to be okay with giving my best, even if it doesn't turn out to be a 90% on something.
I want to take a minute and welcome everybody that has come into the show. Justin and Melissa, thank you for tuning in. Nikki, thank you for tuning in. Cindy, thank you for tuning in. The comment here that I like the most is better late than never, and the you is the most important part. There are people that are defined as perfectionists. Now, you can try your best to get something right. And I believe in that. I believe that you should try your best, and I believe that you should tinker, and I believe that you should adjust, as it were, for the English accent on Let Go Radio and on Facebook Live. But that is the point where you have to go, enough is enough. I am happy with this, and there has to be an end. There has to be okay, this is good, And I love how you put your grades into perspective because you worked your butt off to keep it clean on Let Go for them grades. And I remember you were like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. And everything is, oh, Jesus, fucking stuff. And I'm like, Kristina, it's all right. Woosah. Take a breath. And everything was, and then when you saw it, you were like, I got an 86. What? It was like, at first, it was like, no, it's 86. I'm like, Kristina, do you know how good an 86 is? Do you remember that moment? You're like, oh yeah, I mean that is good, and you come into the reality of, and you said, I did the best I can, and that's good, and be good with it, because if you beat yourself up too much, what are you accomplishing?
No, nothing. It's exhausting, and that's why I had to learn to be okay with it, because getting through all of that homework was exhausting enough. The last thing I needed was to exhaust myself more, as I'm anxiously awaiting the grades. And then, why beat myself up over it if it's already done? I've given my best effort. No, it's not perfect, but it doesn't have to be. I kind of agree with Kyle there. We can decide what is perfect enough for us to be satisfied with it. It doesn't have to be, 100% all the time, because if we do that, there's actually some negative effects to mental health too when people be perfect.
Well, Kristina, I mean, again, it's all about perspective. Consider everything you've went through in the last year, that you had to back pain, multiple sicknesses, just so much, the homework, the full-time job. I mean, and to come away with an 86. Like, that is should be a proud 86 for being able to juggle 50 different plates in the air and keep them afloat as well as you did.
Yeah. I mean, I've never been so proud of an 86 in my life. So there's that.
I've got to be honest. The way you handled that. Let me just say this, and maybe Kyle should be the host of My CP Does Not because he hit that one out of the park again. I have these guys on for a reason. They're wonderful people, and it very much is perspective. And I want to talk. I want to talk a little bit about that. As long as you do good enough for you, and I want to mention good enough for you. A lot of people try to find that good enough point. What is good enough for me? They spend their life, I gotta get to the end. And it's just never good enough. They're fighting themselves. And we are our own worst critics, people. We are our own worst critics. So remember, no matter, there's a goal, but it can be adjusted. Agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so. And you can constantly, bring it closer to you, push it farther back if you're realizing, oh, yes, I can do more than I originally thought. You have to be willing to be a little bit more fluid in knowing what your goals are. I think we get very stuck on a very specific goal and we want it to look a very specific way. But that's where the mental health comes in. And when you end up not achieving that very specific goal, it's mentally taxing and draining, and you start to beat yourself up. And why didn't I do that? And how could I have done it better? And, it kind of leads to a downward spiral of,
Yes.
Now I'm not perfect. And perfection is really about what your standards are. And
honestly, yep. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You can constantly raise and lower them as you go, is all I wanted to say.
I love this comment. Today I will do myself from yesterday, and I'll do myself tomorrow better from the day. Honestly, I think that I don't know if that's today or the day, but I like the way it's said, because we've got to start realizing to give ourselves credit and stop taking it away from ourselves when we do something great. Okay? Because in my opinion, and this is just what it is, there is no perfection. There's a level that's up here. And once you hit it, you say, oh, I've reached my ceiling. Now, I'm not saying you can't shatter your ceiling, folks. Don't get me wrong, because people can say, I can only do 15 things. I can only do 5 things. I can only do 4 things. I can only do 19 things. You can go further by pushing yourself, but there's a point where you have to go, my plate is full, and I am okay with that. And that is good enough for me. I think people spend most of their life looking at what they don't have or why they're not perfect and forgetting why they are, or what, like you said, the adjustable point of life is it's never going to be right here all the way through, same line. It's a roller coaster ride, and sometimes you're dipping way down and going way up, and sometimes your life is doing this, and you're like, can you please slow down? It's that moment. There's a realization, and you're like, all right, this is the way life is. Let's back up, take a breath, and say, now we have a little different outlook, and our blood pressure is not skyrocketing through the roof because we're late.
Right before we came on, what did I tell you? I said, take a breath. Just breathe. We got it. It's going to be what it's going to be. It's not what we thought it was going to be, but it's still going to be great.
But it's going to be better. But see, here's the point. Because when you realize, no big deal. Take a breath. Step back. You missed a minute. I can go an hour and a minute. Ain't nobody going to kill me. I mean, and honestly, we only can do as much as we can do. And that's exactly what I was trying to get to. That's what I was trying to get to. Sometimes we push ourselves too hard in trying to make it what it's not. And we take away from it by trying to make it something else. Understand what I'm saying? Does that make sense? So
Yes.
you have a task and you're trying to build a model of a ship. Now, if you've seen a model of a ship has like 20 million bazillion pieces. Okay, I know that's not a number, people. But you're going through and you're doing the little minute things, and you've got the tweezers and the glue, and you've got the magnifying glass, and you're looking at it and you're putting it together. And pretty soon you're going to have one piece that keeps falling over, and you go, "You stupid!" For that moment, your life is in chaos because you've been working on this model so long, and you got this model almost done, and you're focusing on that one piece when you've got 50 bazillion other pieces that you've already put together, and you forget, man, I did all that in 2 weeks? Hold up. But you're so focused on, I can't get this piece to fit right. You ever try to force a puzzle piece in a puzzle that don't fit? You're trying to get that last piece in there and you're jiggling it and wiggling it. You forget those puzzle pieces are made by factories. You sometimes you can't make it fit. You've got to be okay with what it is. Go ahead, Kyle.
Well, sometimes pushing too hard is dangerous because I like your puzzle analogy. If you push the piece too hard, it's going to break. So you have to know, there is a point. I'm not saying never push yourself, but be realistic with how much you're pushing yourself. Now, I'll compare Kristina and I because we're on separate fitness journeys. She could walk multiple 5Ks in a year. She's building back up to that. She had to take a little break from that. She's building back up to that. But I'm not going to be like, yeah, I can do exactly what she can do. Because if I could do, I might try to do the same thing and end up with blisters on my feet. And, now I'm down for 3 days trying to recover. You have to push as far as you can push, not how far they can push.
Here's the amazing thing about Kristina, talking about, her walking. Her back has killed her this year. She has had sicknesses and days where she can't move out of bed, and she's like, I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to do anything. Owie. And she just walked a 5K, 2 days ago?
I did. Well, I didn't do the whole 5K. I did 2 miles, but that was way more than what I wanted to do. And that's another point that I'll make. In my perfectionist mind, a couple of years ago, before all of this chronic pain and all of the craziness of this last year, I might have expected myself to walk 3.11 miles, which is a 5K. I went out there on Monday and I said, I'll try for a mile and I'll see what happens. And I was walking along and talking to my mom, and pretty soon we get to the mile marker. And I was like, oh no, I walked a mile. I got to turn around. I got to walk myself a mile all the way back to the start line. What? But because I didn't say, I have to walk the whole thing, I actually enjoyed it because I went a mile, I went down, I turned around, and I walked that mile back at my own pace. And I didn't expect myself to do something superhuman because I'm not superhuman, and I know that I'm still recovering from an injury. And if I push, too terribly much, it's going to cause me physical harm, and it's going to cause me a lot of frustration because I'm not giving myself the grace that I need to do what my body needs. I think a lot of this perfectionism and the struggle a lot of people have with it is they don't forgive themselves very easily. And I'm speaking from personal experience, everybody.
Yep.
I expect more of myself than anybody else would ever expect me to do. Even my physical therapist tells me that I expect too much of myself in that area of things, let alone homework and, evaluations at work and everything else. But I'm learning to forgive myself and tell myself it's okay. It's okay to say no to something. It's okay to not exercise today, But it really does become knowing your limits and being able to forgive yourself when you have to step back and take a break or step back and reevaluate, and to know that stepping back to reevaluate and knowing those limits doesn't make you lazy. It doesn't make you sloppy. It makes you human. And, we can only give 110% so often before we wear ourselves down.
Well, there's a couple things that you said there that I want to touch on. And the one thing is, when I didn't think about it so much, I actually enjoyed it. Or when I didn't focus on it so much, I actually enjoyed it. See, here's the thing. When we try so hard, and it's what Lena said right here, it's okay to breathe as you're going through your limits. Okay, we can give 110% sometimes. We can't give 110% all the time because we're going to wear ourselves out. Just letting you know. Even the Energizer Bunny goes, I need a new battery, for God's sake. It's all right. It happens. Everybody's battery dies. Trust me. I just put one in my car, cost me $167. I ain't gonna. Anyway, just letting you know, everybody's battery dies. But the thing about it is, you're walking and talking and moving along, and before you know it, Lord, Jesus, I don't walk the mile. I got to walk back. Well, when you walk back, that makes 2 miles. So you completed 2/3 of the journey and pushed yourself, because that's a lot more than you intended to do. So
it was I mean, like, and it was one of those things. It was a fun run, it wasn't like a super competitive thing. So had I needed someone to come pick me up when I turned around, they would have, no problem. But it was one of those things too where I know my body, and I was like, all right, if I'm not hurting, I can keep going. But if at any point on that journey back to the start I had started hurting, I would need to make sure that I stopped, because again, I know my limits, right, and I have to be forgiving in order to not injure myself. Because what happens if I walk too far too fast and I hurt like crazy? Well, then I'm down for 2 days on the couch, don't want to do anything, and then I would continue to, beat myself up because I wasn't out there getting my miles in. So sometimes it's better off to just know your limits and say enough is enough.
And realizing that when you reach your limit, everybody does it. I think, some people will reach their limit, and because they didn't technically complete it or finish it, they're down on themselves and they beat themselves up. Man, I had a whole mile and a 0.2 to go, and I didn't go, and I didn't. You stop looking at what you didn't do and start looking at what you accomplished. Right. I know Kyle used to be so hard on himself. That's why I love his little shorts now, man. When he pops up and does his little videos, I'm like, man, I was just thinking that my brother Amigo done put it up there, and now and it's those moments that help people get through the hard stuff that they're dealing with, the hard things that they're dealing with, and say, okay, you know what? I'm not perfect, but I'm okay with it. I am perfectly fine with the way I am, and I did good, and that's great. And you got to give yourself credit for it, because if you spend half your life or your whole life reaching for perfection, you're going to miss out on a lot of stuff.
Right. And I want to, say something about what Kristina said. She did 2.1 miles, and it was more than she expected. So right. She exceeded her expectations. So by exceeding her expectations, she's like, wow, I did 2.1 miles. I only wanted to do a mile. Like, I feel really good about myself. Had she done the race and said, I have to finish it, and she only did 2.1 miles, she would have said, why couldn't I have pushed myself a little harder?
So it's all about that perspective then, isn't it? It's all about, the goals that we set for ourselves and setting realistic goals.
And you enjoyed it, though. You actually got to enjoy the experience because you exceeded your expectations rather than beating yourself up about not finishing the race.
Yeah, that's a really great perspective. I mean, besides the fact that I had realistic expectations, I was also talking the whole time. And if anybody knows me, when I'm talking, I just go on, and I just don't pay attention to anything. And then it was like, that's the mile marker. Oh no, what have I done? But it was okay. I took my time going back, and the hill at the end, there was a point where I wondered what I had gotten myself into, but I survived to tell the tale, so all was good.
And
so
I want to. Oh, sorry, DJ. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I want to say if we set the bar too high for ourselves, are we ever really going to be happy? I mean, you have to set realistic expectations because you want to be able to exceed your expectations. Like that's what feels good of being like, yes, I did more than I thought I could. If you set the bar too high all the time and you're never reaching that bar, then you're like, I'm a failure. Why can't I do this? That's when things start to get really dangerous. If you set the bar too high and you're not achieving what you want, then that's when mental health really takes a dive. And so lower the bar. It's okay to lower the bar. I feel like society's like, we have to have the bar set way up here. Like you can set it over here and like come up ahead, just like Kristina's race. It's okay. It doesn't have to be set at the highest level.
Right. And we're not saying that you should set it, super duper low. Like you still want to look for things, but I definitely agree that we've got to be careful to not set too high of expectations. Because I can speak from personal experience and say it's mentally exhausting, physically exhausting, and it just doesn't usually work out very well. So
I think that mental aspect is what tricks a lot of people, because you can set a goal. I was working on the album 2-3 weeks ago, and we had every technical issue known to man. I mean, the studio software wasn't working. We couldn't get the mics to come through. We had a bad cord. We couldn't turn the guitar down. Steve was plugging stuff in every port we had, and he's like, I don't know what to do. So we had worked for 2 hours, and we beat ourselves up because we lost 2 hours of time that we could have been working on a song and just went with it. But what we got done when we finished our first song, of the set that we had picked out, we were like, dang. That 2 hours of work and critiquing and moving the little levels and that sounded good as I don't know what, and we had to take a second and go, we lost 2 hours of time, but look at what we accomplished. So I want to talk about a couple of things as we say hello to Shayna that just came in, and Sean and Lena.
Hi, Lena.
When you set a bar, it's a goal. It's not a concrete position. Your bar should never be set in concrete because your bar of your goal has got to move with you. Understand what I'm? You got the bar 6 feet above you. I'm like, I can't reach that. Look, you got to be real, and I think that's kind of what Kyle's talking about. Because you got the little half smile right there. He's like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. And you bring it down a little bit, to where your nose can almost touch it. Okay, now you're more at a point, but you're still going higher, and you're still finding balance. That's what Sean is talking about right here. Yes, just don't settle either. You have to find that balance. I love that. There is balance in everything, but you don't have to jump through flaming hoops to get what you want to do done. Realize that your goal that you've got in front of you, I'm going to finish the album. Okay, we've already finished 7 songs of 11 song disc. So I'm like, all right, we on number 8, 9, 10, 11. We're going to have one disc finished. That's halfway done. Now, I'm a glass kind of half full kind of guy. This is where he talked about perspective. Somebody look at the album and said, you got 11 more songs to do. I'm like, come on, man. I'm halfway done. You got to have up here cleared out. Because if you're a glass half empty kind of person, you're gonna drag everybody down with you, and you might get your foot stepped on, or you might get punched in the nose occasionally because you're Mr. Negative all the time. And
Yeah, that's not healthy either. You've got to be careful about not looking at things that way, because
thank you.
that can be as much of a mental struggle as being too hard on yourself
Mhm.
and too perfectionist.
Right. And DJ, you are having a double album. So the fact that you're almost done with one disc, yes, you're halfway done, but you have one completed.
Mhm.
Almost, you know, it's
And that's
all in how you look at it.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm going, because you've got to take the positive in, it's just like making a pizza or making a recipe. When you make a recipe that's got 400 ingredients and you get the ingredient $3.99, you got to go, man, if we could go through life and realize nothing is perfect. There is no such thing as perfect. I want to use this analogy. I want to have you guys comment on it, and people, please comment and let me know what you think. A painter paints a picture of a landscape, okay? A beautiful mountain, a beautiful valley with animals and deer and rabbits and the occasional little chipmunk up in a tree with his cheeks all full of stuff. And the painting is beautiful. And he goes, man, this painting is missing something. See, he's looking to add that one more thing. One more thing. But sometimes one more thing can be too much. And you can destroy that whole painting with that one thing. Look at what you've got and be thankful for what you've done, and let people see what you've actually got. What do you think about that, guys?
I mean, I really liked what you said earlier about, making your album, and, you stuff wasn't working, but you took a break and you came back at it and look at all the things that you've got done. I think in a situation like that, taking, whether it's, the analogy of painting or something else, taking a break and coming back to it can be a really good thing too. It gives your brain a chance to sort of reset, and you can look at things from a different perspective instead of being there exhausted, looking at it going, I don't know what it needs. I don't know what else to do, until you wear yourself out. It's important to know when we need to take a break, step back, take a day off, and come back, and then we can look at it and try to do it the best we can.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle?
Well, and to go along with the album and the painting, with my making YouTube videos, there are times when I'm like, I have the topic that I want to talk about, and I'll sit and I'll start the camera and I'll start talking and I'll start messing up, and then I'll retry and I'll keep messing up. And then I think, okay, I got to not make this video right now. I've had to tell myself, I'll try it again tomorrow, because it's just not happening. And, we all have our specific standards of what is acceptable. And there have been videos where I'm like, that is good enough. And that is what it is. But sometimes I've had to be like, today is not the day to make a video. Even though I thought it was, I got to wait till tomorrow, because it doesn't always go very smooth. And that's when, instead of beating myself up about why can't I get this video out? It's like, I'll try again tomorrow. And most of the time, that's what helps, is like today's not the good day. Tomorrow will be better.
I love the idea of you saying being able to walk away from it temporarily. I'm going to comment on that.
Yeah. And come back. You got to come back.
Yep. Sean said this. I agree. But that goes back to what I said previously on one of your last episodes. It's a matter of perspective. Where have we heard that before on this show? A few people can paint the exact same painting. No matter who is painting it, though, the exact painting will always be different. So it's a matter of perspective. Go ahead on, Sean, with your bad self on that comment.
I can actually speak from actual painting experience. My aunt gives painting classes, and she tried to get all her nieces together and have us paint the same thing. I mean, we all had our flowers. We all had a bird over here. We all did this. We all did that. They were not the same. Not close to being the same. Not really. I mean, when you take into account everybody's skill level and where they're at, whether they're working towards making a painting or working towards a goal, everybody is going to have a different way of getting there. So we need to be able to modify our expectations depending on the situation that we have.
Well said.
Perfection also takes away uniqueness.
Ooh, Mr. Kyle.
Amen.
Just saying.
I mean, we ain't in church, but amen, brother, hit it on the nail right there. Well, perfection also takes away uniqueness. Now, I'm going to say two things because I want to go back to the previous statement where amigo Kyle said this. You got some. I got to realize that I got to step away from it a minute, and go back. I've done that, and I've had to let myself do that because when we first had that technological thing, I was blah, 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 and I can't say what I said on Let Go Radio, but I had to stop. I had to go in the kitchen, get a glass of Mountain Dew, put a little something in there, and drink a little bit, and come back, take a bite of a Cheeto, get a wheat thing, get my body in its perspective order to where I can go, okay, I'm going to be all right. I'm going to be all right. We going to be all right. Then you go back, you laugh about something, you watch some comedy, you kind of, rewind and take another crack at it. And then you go back and your mind is fresh. See, if you focus on it too hard, you're going to lose focus because you're going to get blurred vision. You see what I'm saying? You try to be perfect and it's going to fall to the ground.
Yeah, it's that mental exhaustion part that people forget about a lot of times. I mean, I feel like we don't realize the toll that something takes on us until we step back and take a break from it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Kyle is on a roll today. I will acknowledge that one. Please don't roll over my foot. I just, now the other thing is uniqueness. And I'm going to say this, and I want everybody to hold on to what you got for a minute. Everyone has uniqueness. And sometimes we don't even realize what makes us unique. But I got to go up to this square over here in the right-hand corner for just a second because he said it. I remember when Kyle first started his journey on YouTube, man, and I'm watching the videos and I'm like, this dude's got something. And I kept saying, Kyle, you got something. He's like, thank you. See, but he didn't see it. He didn't see it. Everybody was telling him, man, you're doing such a good job, and he's like, thank you. It didn't register because he was. I think what was happening was he had to get in his own little groove, his own little path. And once he got there and he started realizing, man, I just did a 60-second video. I got when that 10,000 views hit for him, I was like, dude, can you help me out? Because like I'm at like
see, and that's perspective.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I was like, oh, like wow, like I've hit over 10,000 views now. Mm-hmm. And you don't always notice that because you're looking at individual videos and it's like, but collectively, it's like, again, perspective. It's like I was too focused. And then it was like, but wow, I've hit over 10,000 views. And that is not, I don't want to brag when I say that. Mm-hmm. Because, anyone could do that. Anyone, like, I'm not special in that way. I'm special that I decided to put my life on the internet. But, you can do it too. And it's crazy to think that 10,000 people have watched, I've hit 10. Well, I'm almost to 11,000 now. And it's like, I just want to keep reaching people. And that really put it was like, wow, what have I been doing?
Well, and everybody's going to have their own journey. See, that's what makes it unique. Your journey is unique because when you speak, people gravitate toward, wow, I can relate to that. I get it. I understand. You have this ability to talk about a topic, and I'm like, man, bless you, Kristina. I look at her muting herself, sneezing on silent. So good. I think that you're awesome in the way you present your life out there for people to see. And I'm gonna tell you why we do good. You do good on YouTube, because YouTube don't show the numbers until you go in and look at it. The views are not there until you go in and look at it. Facebook, man, they'll put the views out there, and you're like, man, I only got 30 views on this thing, and I only got 12 views. I had to stop doing that. I still got to do it because I'm like, why? I just want more. But I realize now I started doing pop-ups like Kyle. Now mine are 30 minutes instead of 60 seconds, but I got to tone them back a little bit. But them pop-ups, man, when you come out with something and you hit something and you put music in the background, woo!
I was like, whoa, this I could not turn it off. I mean, I was doing my housework, but I'm just listening. And I was like, dang, he hits the nail on the head again and again and again. And I think part of, not even just perfection, part of being successful is realizing your potential and realizing that, you have it in you to be great and do great things. And I mean, Kyle with his videos, I know I do this to myself too. Because we're our own, worst enemy at first. I mean, it's like Kyle with his videos, and people are like, "Oh, it's a nice video," and he was like, "Thanks," and I don't think he really realized his
exactly.
I mean, he didn't really realize his potential yet, but he had it. And me with my Spanish, I've gotten compliments on my accent, left and right, but I'm always just like, "Oh, people are being nice." And then the other day, after my 5K, I was talking with a coworker's significant other, and she's from Colombia, and we're talking, and she's like, "You have such a great accent." And I was just like, "Thanks." And I didn't beat myself up over it and think, was she being nice? No. At a certain point, you just know your potential, and when somebody gives you a compliment, you take that and you use it to confidently keep doing what you're doing, and believe in your own potential.
Now, let me say something to all three of us, and I'm going to include myself.
You should, DJ. You are right up there with the best of them. And you need to give yourself some credit there.
See, and that you see where I'm going already, because you've noticed when I compliment people, I don't say I, y'all, and you're like, "You too, DJ," and I'm like, "Dang, going it. It's not true. It's not fair." We all are great, and we all are currently doing great things. We're not getting there. Okay. What we are doing now, listen to this, because this is where you've got to grab it and go, ooh, we are all doing great things. The world says stop. Just like I'm so glad Kristina mentioned that, man, because I was trying new things. I was trying voice in fluctuation and trying to make it soft and then loud and then just move it around a little bit. But that's the thing. We think that we're gonna get there, and we spend all this time trying to get somewhere to be great when we pass great and are greater and doing the greatest a long time ago. And then you look and you're like, I got 11,000 views. When did that happen? You see what I'm saying? You missed the greatness exit because you're so worried about what you gotta be. Does that make sense? Help me out, amigos. Help me out.
You don't even realize all the things you've done because you're still, working towards this one thing. And then, like I said the other day, usually when people give me compliments on my pronunciation, I'm just kind of like, yeah, they're being nice. But, when she said that to me, I was like, I really have, it really has improved because, I've traveled, a lot. I traveled in college and I traveled for my master's. And so, I just kind of took that compliment as a good one instead of, criticizing myself and wondering if she was just being nice or if I was actually good, At a certain point, we just have to say that, I'm happy with where I am, and I'm proud of the progress that I've made. And maybe I still have other goals that I want to reach. But part of that, part of the journey to perfection or new perfection is also learning to be okay with where you're at a certain point. So you don't burn yourself out in that quest to be better.
Now, Eden, I'm gonna talk about this comment for just a minute. Eden, I was just seeing you on Facebook the other day. You're reaching your goals though. You're reaching I know you say you struggle with getting your business out there, but you're reaching your goals every month and you're achieving what you want to do. So to go on top of that, but when you compare, that's dangerous. That's the one you kind of want to, I want to be like this, or it's good to have a goal, but you don't have to compare yourself to somebody else.
The fact that you have, sorry, DJ.
Go ahead,
the
Kyle.
fact that you have your own business, like that is an accomplishment right there. Many people want to do the same thing that you're doing right now and are too scared to do it. So you have a business, it will reach people. I can guarantee you that.
Right there, Sean. Right there. Compare yourself to yourself and only yourself. Because look, here's what it is. I got 15 minutes left. We're gonna get down to the nitty gritty, and it's gonna be pretty, y'all. Let's y'all see what I did. That was good. All right, so here it is right here. When you compare yourself to other people and you strive to be like someone else, you are not being like you. See, you cannot miss your you. Okay, because there's only one you out there. I will never be oh so pretty as Kyle Russo over there. I will never be oh so pretty as Miss Christina down there on the bottom. But I will be daggone good looking for DJ Carter. And that's good enough for me. Okay? It don't matter what starch shirt I put on. It don't matter if I got my tight bell-bottom blue jeans on, my cowboy hat. I'm still going to be me because my me is good enough for me. But I had to realize that. Because when you go through your life trying to compare you to somebody else and be like them, that's them. That's them. They're already there. Shayna is Shayna. If I spend my life trying to compare myself to Shayna, I ain't going to knit one scarf. Knit one, curl two, no. CP, don't do that. No. I'm going to buy it from Shayna, put it on my head and say, ain't this so pretty? I don't need to compare. We need to let us be okay. And I think that's the moment that we struggle. Again, we're battling with ourselves. Y'all understand what I'm saying?
Right. Well, in order to compare yourself to yourself, you have to realize that you are valuable and you are worth. You have to know your worth. Just saying.
Yeah.
No, you that's it. And when every journey has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And some people will try to get to the end of their journey so fast, and they want to get to the finish line. I got a dive in there, almost hit my head on my monitor. And then all at once you miss the beginning and middle because you going so fast you don't see where you're going. Okay, when you're looking back at where you've been, you don't see forward. You got to keep your eyes forward. Keep your vision focused and know your worth. You do have to know your worth, and you have to realize that you're precious and valuable. And these are my two precious family members right here. I'm telling you, these guys here, I got some family members now. Y'all, but it's us. See, and we rely on each other. We lift each other up. And I'll be honest, Miss Winnie taught a lot. Know your worth. That is a great statement she gave us. But when we learned it, and she taught us how to learn it, and then you apply it, see, that's when it goes, man, that makes a lot of sense. Oh man. Now you carry it, and when you do something, you're like, dang, I'm not gonna settle for less because I know I'm worth this. Why you got me down here when I know I'm up here? And that's not being cocky, y'all. I'm not trying to be perfect because I don't need to be perfect. I'm DJ. Perfect can be over there in the cut, just smiling at me saying, come get me. Come get me. I'm like, no, I'm going to just walk my steady pace and go on, put my little headphones in, listen to my little music, and just keep on keeping on. Because that's all you can do. I like this right here. It's so easy to get lost in comparing things or people without even realizing it.
So much. So much that I can't even tell you how true that is. But I do want to say, go ahead, Kristina.
I do think it's important that we have people to look up to, people that we look up to for their talents or for their, their work ethic. We might look up to them because they have, more followers on YouTube than we do. And, we might look to them for some tips or things like that. And that's not bad either, guys. But, you can look up to someone else to a point. You can look up to them and admire them for their abilities. You can look to them for support, but you ultimately can't expect yourself to be like them.
Thank you, Kristina.
There's a point there where it's got to stop, and you've got to be you, and they can be them, but you can still support each other.
Ooh-wee. Uh-oh. Kristina just rocked one deep, Kyle. I don't think you're going to catch that one. Go ahead.
Well, I just want to go back to being valuable for a second. Not everyone is going to see you as valuable, but you have to know that you're always valuable, and you will meet the right people who will see your worth. Just because someone doesn't see you as valuable doesn't mean you're not. That just means they're blind to your excellence.
Yeah.
Haters. I mean, you can't let them all get you down.
It's not about what they see until you realize what you see. See that? Mm-hmm. Because here's the thing. It just got real serious for a minute. Sorry, y'all. When you wake up in the morning and your feet hit the floor, and you go in the bathroom to brush your teeth and wash your face and get yourself ready for the day, and you look in that mirror and you say, Lord Jesus, have mercy, I got a cowlick the size of San Antonio. And you work the cowlick down and you put your clothes on and you get yourself straight. The second you walk away from that mirror, you take what you got and you can apply it. Like Miss Kristina said, there's going to be haters out there. You don't do that right. Okay, thank you. There's going to be somebody saying, you're doing a great job. Okay, thank you. There's going to be somebody out there saying, you're the best. Keep going. Okay, thank you. But at the end of the day, when you are walking down the path, you are walking out. If you don't say, I am doing a great job, I am doing my best, what I am doing is good enough. And everybody else is yak. You got to see it first. Same way with criticism, right? Somebody can say, you need to do this. Somebody else can say, you need to do this over here. Somebody else can say, I wish you would do this. If you don't take a second and look at yourself and say, hold up, did I just do that? Well, let me walk back for just a minute and say, I'm sorry, that was me. My bad. Take a minute. Self-evaluation is important.
Mm-hmm. People can tell you you're good enough all they want, but that will fall on deaf ears if you don't feel it.
Kyle just gave me goosebumps. What y'all see them goosebumps run across my arm? Kyle, see, I see Kyle as a pinch hitter in baseball. The team is behind. It's 6-7, bottom of the ninth inning, and Kyle steps up and says, all right, we're going to win this thing. Everybody looking at Kyle like, what are you talking about? We behind the run. How the heck? Kyle says, watch this. Pow! That ball He smoked that. I can't even say that on Let Go either. He smoked that thing, and it just goes 400 feet over the fence. And they looking at Kyle. But see, here's the thing. He said it. It will fall on deaf ears if you don't see it. You got to see your worth. You got to understand that you're good enough. People can tell you all day long. They can shower you with gifts. They can give you stuff. They can present you diamonds and pearls. You can toss your hair out of your face 26 times. You can get purple crutches and green ones and yellow ones and all sorts of colors. You can be teacher of the year 6 years in a row. You can have 950 million views. But if you don't see yourself as good enough for you, all that is for naught, because you got to believe in what you got. I'm just saying. I just took a swing. I did. I took a swing.
You did a great job, DJ.
Did I get a double, Kyle? Did I make it the first?
You got a home run. What do you mean?
Okay.
Don't sell yourself short. No.
Well, I mean, I hit it off the green monster, but I just, but and that's okay, guys. I mean, so I got like 5 minutes left, and I want to get final thoughts on where do you see yourself going on your journey? Is it about 10,000 or is it about 1 million? Where do you see with your views, and then we'll get to Kristina too, just with your journey, Kyle.
In terms of views, I don't have a specific number I want to hit.
I like that.
My internal goal is like, I want to keep doing this as long as I'm happy to, like, it brings me joy, because I do it because it brings me joy. I don't do it for the validation of 1 million views, because if I do that, I might, I don't know. YouTube is fickle. They either get you or they don't. So I have to do it for me. And for me, it's just, I'm going to continue this YouTube channel, this radio, everything I have, because as long as I'm enjoying it, I'm going to continue to do it. And when I stop doing it, and this kind of goes back to what we said about taking fresh eyes and coming back to it. If you can't come back to it, it's not worth doing. So that's when you need to reevaluate. I want a new goal. I need something new. But until I stop losing joy in doing YouTube and everything, I'm going to keep going. So,
Kristina, I see you walking that 10K. I see you getting closer to it. What do you see? What do you see in your journey?
Oh, I mean, gosh, this year has been kind of tough in that regards, and I've had to practice a lot of self-forgiveness because, here I was thinking that I would walk all summer last summer and be, walking a 10K by fall. Sometimes in life we don't necessarily anticipate some of the roadblocks that we're going to get. I mean, there was a couple months where I had back pain pretty consistently and, really didn't exercise. So I modified my expectations and I got through some of those tough days, and I still have some tough days, but I definitely see myself continuing to get closer. I mean, I know what I'm able to do, and I'm just trying to, push myself a little bit further every day. Taking into account, suggestions that others have is important too on a journey towards success. But the one thing I wanted to say that I'm not super sure that we've covered is to take recommendations from others with a grain of salt. Because if you know your worth, you also know your needs, and so as much as I might admire someone else and the advice and the things that they say, oh, did you try this, or you should do this. Not saying those suggestions aren't a bad thing, but again, I have to know my worth, and I also have to know my needs and take those with a grain of salt to incorporate them how I might best incorporate them into my journey, because this is for me and my success. So I really have to focus on the me in it and not try to do something just because somebody else says that I should.
I love y'all so much. That was so well said, Kristina, and very true. You got to take what others suggest with a grain of salt. Evaluate it, but take it with a grain of salt because you got to do you. Now I'm going to do something I don't usually do with the last little bit of time I got left. You guys got to reach these two people right here. My Disabled Experience, Kyle Russo on YouTube. Go check him out. This dude is phenomenal. Kristina, Walking My Way to a 10K. Go check out that blog. She is a talented writer. She puts stuff in a perspective that will help you see when your life has a clog in it and you trying to pull that drain. Go look at that blog. There's some powerful stuff in there. And these two together, Lord have mercy on my soul. The CP Chronicle, every Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central Time. Go get it done, people. I'm telling you.
Not this Saturday because I'm going on vacation, y'all.
That's right. She going over. She need a little break of
my first weekend away, and I did the math. It's my first weekend away in 4 years, y'all.
Holy smoke. Go on vacation, girl.
I'm ready for a vacation for sure. So catch us not this Saturday, but the next Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern.
June 12th.
June 12th. Yes, sir.
These people are phenomenal, and I'm going to tell you, they are doing great things.
Guys, so are you, Mr. DJ.
Thank you so much. Guys, if you want to be a guest on the show, you can reach me at carterdj85@gmail.com. You can reach me at My CP Does Not Define Me on YouTube, Chairmaster Games on YouTube, and Cooking with DJ Carter Worth the Wait on YouTube. You can reach me on Facebook at DJ Carter Jr. You can reach me on Twitter and on Instagram at My CP Does Not Define Me, and my blog, CarterDJ85 at Wix.com. And I always say as I end the show, if you can't be good, be bad, but be good at it. This is D to the J with the rollaway saying thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of My CP Does Not Define Me. And what we're going to do is we're going to end it for now as I play the outro. Y'all take it easy. Thank you, Kyle and Kristina, for being on the show, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. That's going to do it for this week's episode of My CP Does Not Define Me. But don't worry, you can catch us again next Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on www.letgoradio.net and on Facebook and YouTube at My CP Does Not Define Me. Remember, I'm your host, D to the J with the roll away. And if you can't be good, be bad. But be good at it. We'll see you next week.
Take care, everybody. We are affiliated with Kelly's Choice Inc.